So let's run through this. Actually, let's look at the title, Drawn by Treasures of Blessings. Blessings, common understanding of blessings. We are rewarded by what we wish for. And that's a common understanding. But I think blessings, or treasures of blessing, we must understand as to what this is, so that then we can practice more effectively, and I'll come to that as I go along. When we take the Dharma to heart, the wonders are limitless. So when we take it to heart, as I explained, I think yesterday or the day before, and that's when we actually get into the higher consciousness that become our nature, the way we would conduct ourselves. Then the wonders are limitless. So these wonders obviously will be different level of spiritual attainments. But for us as householders, these wonders, if I could just try to expand on this, is the inner development that one can attain. This inner development is from your self-growth, and they will be in the form of inner joy, hope, peace, love, and knowledge. So with the wisdom of our Dharma treasury, our wealth is infinite. So this is what it is, the wisdom of our Dharma treasury. And this, the treasury of blessings, and the wealth is infinite. So whether this Dharma treasury for us in this lifetime of cultivation, where does it come from? So this Dharma treasury, one can say that is a spiritual endowment that one has in this life as a result from past life cultivation. And it can be the form of spiritual rewards. It can be the form of spiritual treasures. And these are the endowments that enable one to be able to practice well, to encountering a path with the teachings, with the family of practitioners, in the what you call the way place of practice, and then to engage in a good practice. And obviously, but to have even be able to harvest these treasures, one must then be endowed with the rewards of this life to be able to harvest that, because the body need to be healthy, the life must be well enough, and the mind must be good enough, so that it can generate the good speech and the good mind to be able to discern the Dharma, and be able to have that fortune to be able to meet the people that we can walk with us. So we must diligently cultivate the seeds of Dharma and good karmic connections. So these seeds of Dharma that we cultivate, as I just explained, this Dharma treasury that come to this lifetime from past. So it's in the same way, knowing that, then we also need to cultivate the seeds for future life. And otherwise, the path of self-growth cannot go beyond this life. So we need to cultivate to grow that and good karmic connection. So a seed leads to an ocean of fruits, and the Dharma is magnificently adorned. This ocean of fruits that one can have would obviously from the spiritual attainment. So this, like I said, the spiritual attainment at different levels. So the ocean of fruits will be to make sure that you have the Dharma treasury, for the next life at a different and a higher level. So then we can continue to progress in our practice. Brother Robert, what time do I need to end?
No problem, no problem. It's okay. You can continue.
No restriction, eh?
No restriction, yeah.
Okay, right. So every day we are bathing in this stream of Dhamma. So what do you mean by we are bathing in this stream of Dhamma? It's even for us as householders. Now we understand monastics life well enough that they are full-time in the Dhamma. But for us as a householder, we still live the worldly life, right? That's why when one take a monastic practice, they say chotka, and they would lead their abandon the worldly life, right? But for us, even though having a worldly life, we're still bathing in this stream of Dhamma. So this stream of Dhamma that come to us is our life. So this is what I've been sharing with you all is life flows. Okay, so this life flows that we have is filled with teachings. And even for us as a householder, if only we know we have the wisdom eye to see what these teachings are. So if we keep things simple, our minds will free of hindrances and afflictions. So therefore, be able to have the wisdom eye to see what this stream of Dharma is teaching us in our life is to be simple. The more simple we are, then the greater that we're able to live the wisdom life. So if we are content, we'll feel very wealthy. But if you're not contented, we'll be grasping to what we want more. So we are grasping to what we want more. How can the mind be able to harvest the wisdom of the Dharma in our life? Will be hindered. So therefore, a billionaire will still be very poor if one is not contented. But yet, a person who has not that level of material wealth is wealthy when that person is contented. So that's the difference that one be able to engage in the spiritual path. So infinite kalpas and countless lifetimes ago, we formed these karmic connections and created these karmic causes, right? So which I explained earlier from our past life. So as a result, matters and things of the world become very complicated. That's where we're in right now. So we must understand the Dharma in order to resolve of our afflictions. So this affliction, because in this time that we are in right now, things are being very complicated. When things become very complicated, we encounter these externalities of conditions, which will give rise to here. Because of our six roots, we got a six stars and a six consciousness. So when this happens, one will be so hindered in afflictions, the dust that we have, encountering with the externality of conditions, along with the five deities and the five skandhas, will be afflicted because then what we like what you see, we don't like what we see. Remember the suffering of not getting what we want, and the feeling, and this is where the emotion arises, our desire get riled up, then we form perception, and from perception we got a mental volition that leads to certain actions, and that is the mundane consciousness that we are in. So the happiness, peace, and freedom that comes from putting teachings into practice is not something other people can experience. It's not something other people can experience without actually doing it themselves. So the teachings here, that knowing and understanding the teaching is purely, as I explained a number of times, It's purely the mental capability and capacity of the mind. And it's purely your intellectual power of your mind. But intellectual power will die with the mind. We die when the body dies. Okay, that's the end of it. That's a sixth consciousness. But to be able to understand the truth in the Dharma, and unfortunately, the truth in the Dharma cannot be taught, neither can be explained. So what Master is doing for us, that it share the Dharma to guide us. So the only way for us to receive the Dharma, see, Dharma can be given to us. We may not necessarily receive the truth. So to receive the truth, one need to learn and understand well. So to learn and understand well in the Dharma is, like I explained, I think it was yesterday, seeing and hearing is only the 2 out of 10 levels of learning. And that's all. It's very basic. Next level is experiencing it. So the experiencing the Dharma is only level 3. And then go to level 4. After experiencing, we've got to contemplate on that. After that contemplating on that, we need to go to realizing what you have contemplated upon. So that's only 5 out of 10 levels that we can grow in understand the Dharma. So otherwise, how can Dharma be so profound that practitioners in the past, enlightened beings in the past, have taken on practice, have gone to the extreme to find the truth. And the Buddha did that. But eventually he found the truth that it's not going to the extreme, but be able to actually to practice the middle path, not to the extreme, but expecting the body that we have in this life. So therefore, this life in itself is filled with teachings. And that's the reason why I mentioned to you all, you are your greatest teacher. Okay, and the second greatest teacher is the one closest to you. Your lifetime after lifetime, the Buddha's sole purpose was to investigate the Dharma. So when the Buddha investigated the Dharma, he looked at, obviously, where did the Buddha learn from? The Buddha learned from what he can see from what's happening in the world. So from seeing, he heard also from hearing, right? The second level that I just mentioned. And he had also other teachers that he learned from. He learned from a number of teachers. Then he looked at life and experienced that. So the level of learning that the Buddha went through is something that we, for ourselves, we must be able to do that. And when Sariputra was able to, wanted to learn about the cultivation of emptiness, and Buddha was silent, and he left it to a dialogue between Sariputra and Kuan Yin Bodhisattva. And that teaching came, and which is what it is today as a Heart Sutra. So this level of spiritual insights, that's the next level of learning, and that is communication with the enlightened beings. But to do that, obviously take time of cultivation to be in that level of consciousness. So wisdom practice. Those who take negative circumstances like a supplement of, those who take negative circumstances like a supplement to nourish the wisdom life and take giving as a place of spiritual practice have true wisdom. And let's look at the first part of the sentence. Those who take negative circumstances like a supplement to nourish the wisdom life, paradoxical, isn't it? Why are we taking negative circumstances? Why am I jumping into a pool of suffering? But that pool of suffering is a supplement to nourish our wisdom life. That goes back to the understanding of the Four Noble Truth. The Four Noble Truth says, first one is the truth is suffering. So unless we understand and appreciate the truth of suffering, we can't even progress any further. So therefore, these negative circumstances that we have in number one is to grow in wisdom of understanding. Number two is that we purify our past karma And number three is for us to change ourselves. So when we change ourselves, only then that when our character change, that we can get into that spiritual attainment that is mentioned, which is our inner development. So that inner development can only come when one has grown in the consciousness to have that deep self-awareness, to be able to discern your inner development so that you can grow. And giving has a place for the spiritual practice. So giving has a place for spiritual practice. Giving can be so many forms. So what we do, we help those the privilege, we give what we have. But giving, more importantly, but giving is only opens the door to the heart of compassion. And when we want to apply further deep in, we look at helping, serving, practicing, purifying, renouncing, and we go to harmonizing the one that we have. Then we can grow the great loving heart. And the great loving heart is the base in which we can evolve into a compassionate heart. So this is what then we understand. But true wisdom is be able to take on our life becomings at the same time, yet despite these circumstances, we continue to give so that we can uncover our non-self. So with a wisdom, they realize that lives and those of all beings are interconnected. Now, this is not the interdependency of existence. Right? So the interdependency of our existence that we have in this life, that all whom we meet are spiritual benefactors in the past and our present spiritual benefactors. So that's why Master teaches that even we want to give to the poor, we bow to them because we are spiritual benefactors. So this wisdom is impartial. Wisdom is impartial. Wisdom, why? Because impartial, because there's no boundaries within us. So, and we do not discriminate, we do not differentiate in any form whatsoever. So we have equal compassion for all. So this also relates to a teaching the Master talk about the four wisdom, right? Remember the four wisdom I did share with you all. It's called the equality of deep awareness. So the equality of deep awareness, where you see everybody with respect all of them, because every one of them has the Buddha nature. So at the same time, we have discerning wisdom and impartial wisdom. As we read discerning wisdom, obviously, the ability for you to understand and realize the teaching. Thus, we realize that we are one with the world and all living beings, and have returned to the Dharma treasure through suchness within us. So the Dharma treasure, at the end of the day, these spiritual attainments that we have from our own change in our conduct to inner development, but eventually, and that through suchness within us, as we attain the Buddha nature. So the Dharma of through suchness can be found within impartial wisdom. It has to be in impartial wisdom because it's one with your universe, right? As simple as that. So unless one is in the universe, you can't attain impartial wisdom. The Buddha, through lifetimes of hard work, was able to filter his consciousness so that it was free of affliction. So believe they're able to filter, and this is what we are trying to practice. In other words, whatever negativity they come to us, we're able to nourish our wisdom life. So we learn to filter. We learn to filter, and again, this was also another teaching about some months ago, when Master talked about start with to cultivate with the four right efforts, because the filtering can come from everything comes from the mind. But when we understand the practice well and be able to practice what are four right efforts, we do not even allow an unwholesome thought to arise. So when that happens, then we can be completely free of affliction because we do not create any karma. Will cleanse of our eight consciousness. Everything in will be clean as pure crystal. then become the life consciousness. This is why we ordinary people are still unable to experience, though it is stored in the eight consciousness, because the eight consciousness still contains a mix of afflictions and ignorance. So cause affliction, large lumpy affliction, it's obvious we can remove them. After removing them, there's still lumpy afflictions that we have. And that's the reason why we need to have this called self-development or self-growth, to be able to understand with deep awareness of who we are. And this conscious self-analysis and self-knowing and self-correction process that we go until we get this self-realization of the pure nature. And this is what we are doing lifetime after lifetime. So the lessons learned, this spiritual cultivate begins from our nature. Why begins from our nature? Because of our Buddha nature, right? The Buddha nature is intrinsic in every one of us. So if there's underlying intrinsic nature is every one of us, we have the pure nature. So therefore, the only problem is we have piled up with so much afflictions from innumerable lifetimes of transgression we had in the past. So our lives are inseparable from the Four Noble Truths and Six Perfections, which are repeated all Dharma. So Four Noble Truths obviously is to understand that, so that we wake up to the law of cause and effect, to remove them, and the Six Perfections to cleanse off to purify all our past afflictions that we have. So each and every teaching contains many other teachings, and each and every action likewise repeat with all the teachings. Now this is an interesting quote, because each teaching contains many other teachings, and the one seed, right? One seed can bear many fruits, and those fruits always can bear many seeds, and so on and so forth. So you can imagine that a seed or spiritual awakening can blossom into the fruition of much wisdom. So in every move we make, every word we speak, every thought we think, etc., if there is goodness in our minds, we will practice good deeds, like giving. So giving, why Master mentioned about giving? Because giving is the first of the six parameters, right? First of the six perfections. And that is where from the sixth perfection, we grow to even higher perfection. Later on, when we ascend the Bodhisattva path, we will go to 10 perfections. And that's when you get into the 10 grounds or the 10 booms in the Bodhisattva path. So in the one true Dharma realm, every method and thing exists within one true Dharma realm. And that's what the truth is one with the universe. Even the most minute of dust, a tiny speck of sand or dust, is the same inside. Each and complete true Dharma realms and contain all things. So when I read this particular line, it reminds me of, there's more than 10 years ago, in one of my pilgrimage trip to China, and I went to Ermeisan, that's where they abode of Samantapatra Bodhisattva. And that morning, a very early morning, I went out alone for a walk, and it was filled with, it was very thick fog. And obviously there were minute dew was settling down. And I shared with you all before, wisdom is vastness is the wisdom. And yet each dew is filled with wisdom. And you can reflect everything in the world. So contemplation. You are here in this life to experience a life that you have earned. So therefore, this life we have earned, and all as a result of our past life. And whatever that should happen in our life will happen. And that is of karmic unfoldment in the form of life coming. So it will come, whether you like it or not, because karma never loses an address. There is no need to ask for blessing except for guidance, experience of life in the Dharma. And that in itself, the fact that you encountered the Dharma, that in itself is already a blessing. What more do we want? So what we want is the guidance that what Master is giving us right now. And that is what we should be appreciated as the blessings. So things that cannot come my way, I cannot be just say everything to come my way because there's a teaching in that. So if one is in the Dharma, the hindrances come away, it's for us to cleanse the path. So do not avoid life as it is. Life flows as life is. That we need then to be discerned, be able to learn the Dharma. Accept the life flows to experience life, to learn from it. And that is the experiential learning, which is unique to us. And that's the reason why a teaching has infinite meanings, because each one will have different experiences in life. So you deserve what you get. Similarly, you will deserve what you will get. So we deserve what you get now because from the past. Similarly, we will deserve what we will get because for what we are doing in this lifetime. So therefore, cultivate to earn the deserving factors for a good practice. And this deserving factors for a good practice, the spiritual endowment for us in this life and our future life, which are endowments of our spiritual treasures and rewards that we can then progress our practice into the mind continuum. So on relationship, have a blessed relationship. Blessings are earned, not given. So therefore, these blessings, as I mentioned to you all, that we have, and the blessings that we have is of spiritual rewards, spiritual treasures. They are earned and not given. We can just pray and say, ask for these blessings. So blessings are efficacious manifestation from the wholesome efforts of the past that come your way, so that we come for us this way. But we come our way in this. We have a certain life, right? We have circumstantial karmic retribution as well. We have certain family, the way we live, and so on. So we come your way. Therefore, it's also understand it's for your way. Okay, Gan En, brothers and sisters, thank you.
Gan En so much. We are truly blessed to have our wonderful Brother Chin to share with us your wisdom every day. Yeah,